tuned into Buy Now, Sell Now, the weekend show with me, Mubina Kapasi, and joining me is even Karanya Rao. This is a show where, of course, we analyze all that transpired in the week for the markets, answer your individual queries, and, of course, get your portfolios dissected by our fundamental experts. So without any further ado, let's tell you what all we have lined up for you on the show today. First up, the stocks that we'll be discussing on the show: Mcleod Russel, Hero MotoCorp, as well as EIL. Later on the show, we will be getting in a portfolio segment. So let's bring on board our experts who are going to join us over the next 30 minutes. First up on the fundamentals, we have with us Gaurang Shah of Geojit Financial Services, and to dissect the technicals, we have Aditya Agarwal of Yes Securities. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining in on the show. And let's bring on board our very first query for today. It's coming in from Ram Babu. He is from Vijayawada in Andhra Pradesh. Now, he says he has bought 50 shares of Mcleod Russel at a price point of approximately 211 rupees, and he wants to know if he must hold or exit this particular investment. Well, he's losing money over here, and what's more is that he's a short-term investor. 211 where he's bought it, he's losing money. It's trading at about 144 rupees. Gaurang, over to you first. We haven't seen much coming out of this company in terms of fundamental aspects, no triggers as such. Even the numbers have just been very, very okayish, nothing to talk about back home. And of course, it's a commodity based stock, so all the more you have to be wary of that. What would you advise him to do on this?
Thanks for having me on the show, Mubina, and good evening to all of you. I think first you need to be very careful if you're buying stocks from a short to medium term point of view in this kind of a difficult environment. Point number one. Point number two, mid cap, small cap and micro cap have actually seen a bloodbath. Unless of course he is wanting to book out from here or maybe wait for some kind of a rally at a higher level. My advice to him would be to, if he can exist, our preference in the beverages space, if you will, Tata Global Beverages would be a stock that I would recommend, understanding the fact that the stock has corrected in the recent times, but that opens up an opportunity for long-term investors to buy the stock at current level and make a switch from Mcleod Russel's to maybe Tata Global Beverages.
That's the view coming in on the fundamental side. Let's also take in the technical perspective from Aditya. Aditya, our viewer here has already lost a fair bit of money on this particular counter. It has tanked a fair bit in the last 6 months. Where do you see it go on the charts from the current levels? Is it a good idea for a short-term trader to hold on to it?
First of all, thank you, Mobina, for having me on the show, and good evening, everybody. So if I take a look at the charts, stock is clearly weak, and stock has witnessed sharp corrections of late. And right now it's taking support at a lower end of the channel, which is placed at 138 levels. However, looking at the setup of the RSI and the chart patterns, it looks like stock is weak and can break those levels of 138. So yes, I would agree with Gaurang here. Stock, I would not recommend him all to hold on to the stock. Rather, one should look to exit the stock or keep a stop close to about 138, which is the next support level. Because if this 138 level support breaks, stock can slide all the way down to 128 levels as well. So there is weakness, no doubt, in the stock. And looking at the markets, which are on a nimble foot right now and correcting, would definitely advise him to book out losses or at least keep a stop close to about 138, which is the next support level, because if that breaks, stock can see further corrections definitely.
Okay, that's the view coming in on Mcleod Russel. Let's move right on then to our second query, which is on Hero MotoCorp. Our viewer has bought about 25 shares at a price point of 3,833, and Sandeep, our viewer, wants to know what would our experts advise on this particular counter. Gaurang, give us your view on Hero Moto. We've seen very good numbers in terms of monthly volumes as well, in terms of financial performance. It's been a fairly sturdy up move for this particular counter, and even the management is bullish on the up move to continue for a while from here on. Are you also optimistic on Hero Moto?
So currently equally optimistic, and I think the entire auto space, if something looks more exciting, my sense is that it's going to be the two-wheeler space. And we also saw the numbers of Bajaj Auto unfold just a while back. And if I have to reflect upon the geographies where the company, that is Hero MotoCorp, exports, I think there is much more stability compared to Bajaj Auto, wherein there was some issue in terms of geopolitical unrest and economical unrest, etc. But if I have to come back to Hero MotoCorp, well, it has been a wealth creator and it will continue to do that. And our sense is that the traction and demand from the semi-urban rural, along with the demand for high-end motorcycles, mid-sized motorcycles, tier 2, tier 3 cities and metros, would drive the volumes on the higher side, and that will reflect positively on the numbers as well. So long term, I would definitely advise the investor to stay invested.
Okay, don't be too worried about the losses you may be sitting on, given that you bought it at 3,800. It's currently at about 3,500 rupees. Gaurang seems to be quite optimistic. And yeah, the numbers as well are testimony to the future outlook, not only for Hero MotoCorp, but even for Bajaj Auto. Both two-wheeler companies have come out with a fair set of numbers. Aditya, over to you then. Could you analyze the technicals for our viewer? What is it looking like on the charts? Do you think that an up move from here is possible?
Yes, definitely. So stock recently corrected and tested the neckline of a channel. A couple of weeks back, stock had broken out from a downward sloping channel, and in trade last two trading sessions, stock actually saw some bit of throwback to test that neckline of the channel, which is close to about 3,500. And if I take a look at stock's performance today, wherein markets ended deep in the red, stock managed to close slightly in the green or flattish. So there are bullish signs, no doubt, in the stock. I would recommend hold on to the stock, stay invested. You can see levels of 4,200 here as well. So hold, definitely.
All right, so consensus hold on Hero Moto. Stop loss, in fact, is being placed at 3,450 according to Aditya. And of course, even levels of 4,200 may be achieved by Hero Moto. And finally, our third query for today is coming in from Sandeep Dhawan. He is from Mumbai, Navi Mumbai rather, and he has a question on Engineers India. He says he has bought it at a price point of about 182 rupees per share, and he's bought an amount of about 175 shares. So now his question is, what must he do? Should he hold or sell? You know, in the past, this one has been able to be a good wealth creator for investors, but unfortunately for Sandeep here, he has bought it at a bit of a higher price and he's losing money over here. Gaurang, in a way, this is a stock that is related to the entire crude story. With the rally in crude, this as well could be an indirect beneficiary. Would you tie up these two theories together?
Well, unfortunately, Mupina, it used to be like you rightly mentioned, but in the recent times, I think there is a lot more that troubles the PSUs rather than the investors' interest. And more importantly, if I have to reflect upon the earnings, on the fundamental I'm talking about, it does not really, give me a comfort zone to advise to stay invested. Rather than staying invested in Engineers India, either at current levels or on pullback, if the investor wants to exit, I think one stock that looks quite attractive to me at current levels on fallback of earnings is from the NBFC space, and that is L&T Finance and Holding. We have set aside a target of 225 to 30 from a long-term point of view, Mubina, and I'm quite sure on earnings we will revise the target upward. So prudent to make a switch to L&T Finance and Holding.
A switch to L&T Finance instead of holding on to EIL is the view coming in from Gaurang for our viewer. Aditya, could you tell us how EIL is looking on the chart, whether it's a good idea to hold on to it, or is it better to book the losses and exit?
Okay, definitely. So, gentleman has actually suffered a huge loss. So, has bought at around 180 levels. Stock is close to trading about 141, 142 levels, and it's very close to its immediate support of 138 to about 140 zone. So, I would recommend him to hold on to the stock, keeping in view that it's very close to the support zone of 138. However, if 138 breaks, definitely stock can witness further corrections and can slide to levels of 124 as well on the downside, which will be significant correction even from current levels. So at current levels, I would recommend him to hold with a stop at 138, considering the fact that he's sitting on huge loss. However, if 138 breaks, then I would recommend him to exit from the stock and look at other opportunities.
All right, I hope you've taken note of all the queries, or rather all the solutions and all the views coming in from our fundamental and technical experts on all of your queries. Please do keep sending them in. For now, we will take a very short break right here in the show, but we're going to be answering one lucky portfolio, one lucky viewer portfolio. So stay tuned to ET Now. You're watching Panos Now Weekend. Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now Weekend, and it's that time of the show where we address individual viewer portfolios. Today, the lucky viewer whose portfolio we're going to be addressing belongs to Dr. L.N. Ratnaparke. He is a retired professor, 61 years of age, from Hyderabad, and he has a very long-term time horizon. In fact, he wants to invest and build up his portfolio for future generations. Well, that's of course what we encourage our retail investors to do as well. Let's run you through the stocks that he owns in his portfolio. It's a 12-stock portfolio, and just a brief glance at it indicates that yes, he is a man with a plan. He has certainly purchased blue chip and quality stocks which will survive. Of course, the next generation will be able to generate some quality returns, of course, based on, of course, certain conditions and market conditions. Let's run you through the first three stocks, all auto names. Maruti Suzuki, he's bought 60 shares of this one at a price point of 5,500 rupees. Patience clearly paying off. However, Eicher Motors is a bit sluggish for him, but he just bought about 12 shares at 30,300 rupees. 84, or rather Ashok Leyland, he's bought about 1,000 shares of Ashok Leyland at 84 rupees, and he's making some very good money over there. The next three stocks, again, auto and auto components. Bharat Forge, he's bought 400 shares at 528 rupees. Another 400 shares of Motherson Sumi bought at 204 rupees, and both of these are very good wealth creators for him. And then WAPCO India, an MNC company, he's bought it at 5,600 rupees. The stock, of course, is currently 2,600 or rather 2,000 rupees higher from his buy price. Moving on, some banking names as well are featuring in his portfolio. We have private bank Kotak Mahindra Bank. He's bought it at 985 rupees, and he's bought about 100 shares of Kotak Bank. He's sitting on some good gains over there. Another 100 shares of IndusInd Bank, and then Yes Bank, which he's bought at 263 rupees. He's bought all of these private banks at attractive prices, and hence he's being able to generate some decent returns. Finally, Abbott India, 40 shares of this one bought at 5,248 rupees. Another 100 shares of SRF, which he bought at 1,590 rupees. Remember, the company had delivered its numbers. It was a bit of a painful quarter, but nevertheless, our viewers making money. And finally, Greenply Industries, 500 shares bought at 350 rupees. Gaurang, good names, but lots of banking and auto names is what his focus seems to be on in his portfolio. I'll start off first with the first three auto names, Maruti Suzuki, Eicher Motors, as well as Ashok Leyland. What would you advise him to do?
Well, Mubina, it really gives me a comfort feeling when I see a portfolio like this. And I must say that Mr. Ratnaparke has indeed put in a lot of effort in terms of identifying stocks where he wants to invest his hard-earned money and in savings. And let me say this, all the stocks are my kind of stocks, and we have coverage on all of them. So on the first three names, hold on to Maruti, as Eicher Motors, as well as Ashok Leyland. On Maruti Suzuki, we are working with an initial target of 9,800. On Eicher Motors, we are working with a target of 36,500. And on Ashok Leyland, we've been working with a target of 165, 175. Mind you, all these are long-term targets, and I'm sure he will possibly want to hold on to his investments for a pretty long time.
Right. Can you also address the next three? Those are auto component names. There's Motherson Sumi, Bharat Forge, WAPCO India. But of course, all three have done fairly well in the past, given the kind of stock move and even the fundamental performance. What is your view on all three of them? Good idea to hold on to all three?
Well, he's very, he's allocated his capital very wisely currently. On one hand, he's bought niche and marquee auto stocks. On the other hand, he's bought niche and marquee names in the auto ancillary stroke OEM, that is original equipment manufacturing companies. And if one is positive on autos, I don't see any reason why one has to be underweight or negative on auto ancillary stroke original equipment manufacturing companies. So remain positive on Bharat Forge with a target of 985, Motherson Sumi with a target of 435, and on WAPCO India with a target of 8,500. And mind you, Karanya, these companies not only have a very strong and robust new order market, but equally, upside traction replacement market, which helps them in getting better numbers every quarter.
Okay, so all hold calls. And Gaurang, would you call his private bank selection of Kotak Yes Bank as well as IndusInd Bank, quality and marquee names?
It's very wise, Mobina. And, it's glad to see that he's not stuck with the erstwhile performers and now underperformance names like State Bank of India, ICICI Bank, and Axis Bank. And let me go on record. We remain positive on these three names as well. But his investment in Kotak, IndusInd, and Yes, I think Yes went through a difficult time over the last 2-3 quarters, Mubina. If you recollect, the numbers were a little bit under the weather, underreported the issues on the asset side, and then RBI coming in and you know trying to intervene, etc. Not going into those details much, but Kotak Mahindra Bank, 1385 is the target. IndusInd Bank, we are working a target of 2250. And on Yes Bank, now a turnaround story, we are working with a target of 445.
Right. Last three stocks, a little tricky here. He has Abbott India, SRF and Greenply. SRF clearly, while he is making money on it, but hasn't performed very well in terms of the quarterly numbers. And even Greenply Industries is one stock where he's losing out a bit of his money. What would be a suggestion for him to do with three of these names?
So currently, after a great performance, if a stock goes into a consolidation period and if you see a profit booking, I don't think long-term investors should worry a lot about these kind of short-term, medium-term, downside correction on account. Remain positive on Abbott with a target of 7,250. On SRF, maintaining a target of 2,350. On Greenply, however, he got invested at 350. The stock is trading at, I think, but 250, 285. I'm not too sure. The last time that I saw, but prudent to average over here in case if he's got investable amount, and that's primarily because we are working at the target of 385. So if you stay invested at 350 with the quantity that you have without averaging, the risk reward is skewed. So you're getting a better level to average. I would advise him to average and then look for a target of 385.
All right. Well, compliments, Mr. Ratnaparki. Gaurang is clearly very impressed with your portfolio. All praises, and it's all hold calls coming in across the 12 stocks that you have. And, it's very interesting given the fact that he wants to hold it for the next generation. Hold calls coming in on all these stocks, and that's what we as well now endeavor to teach our retail investors. Long-term investment, of course, would always be able to generate good returns. Of course, you have to make sure that you choose your stocks wisely, but do remember the portfolio recommended here is a model portfolio. Please consult your individual investment advisor before you take any investment decisions. Well, there you have it. We've answered all of your queries, got a complete customized portfolio as well for you. Now let's get back to the markets then, which have seen quite a choppy ride courtesy all the political uncertainty in relation to Karnataka. The Nifty lost significantly on Friday's session, but it's not only on Friday's day, but we had been seeing selling coming by since I think Tuesday's session. So I think 4 out of the last 5 trading sessions, the Nifty was in the red, and for the week finally we shut shop with losses of more than 1% in trade. There you have it, this week's losses. As you can see, it was 4 straight days of losses for the Nifty, the Sensex as well. The broader markets, of course, bigger victims of the uncertainty in relation to Karnataka elections. But let's talk about how exactly should traders position themselves for the markets. What are the wealth creation ideas as well? Aditya, I'll come to you first. What exactly should traders watch out for? We've looked at a very choppy market in the week gone by. What should we brace ourselves for? What are your top picks?
So first I'll talk on markets. Markets, as you clearly mentioned, have witnessed good sharp correction in trade today. For the week, markets have seen significant cuts, overall cut of about 2%. Markets have seen. So downside support is at 10,600. Immediate support, if that breaks, probably you can see markets slide further to levels of 10,530 to about 10,500. So there is weakness in the market, no doubt about that, following the Karnataka elections and the sell-off that we've seen in the markets. So I've picked up 2 short calls and 1 buy call. So the first buy call is a KTK Bank. It closed about 120 levels. I'm looking at a target of 133, keeping a stop close to about 110. Stock is consolidating post sharp correction. It is one of the few banks which has seen consolidation at lower levels within the PSU space. So a sustained trade above 121 will extend the up move to levels of 133. RSI is also looking positive. It has shown a positive divergence on multiple time frame charts. So all in all, stock looks good. One can take a long trade in KTK Bank for a target of 133, keeping a stop at 110. Two short calls. The first one is a JSW Steel short. So most of the metal packs saw a good sharp sell off in trade today, and JSW Steel has been an outperformer in recent times. But if I take a look at the RSI has found a negative divergence with the stock, and stock has broken down from a rising channel support line. So I'm looking at a short here in JSW Steel for a target of 305, keeping a stop close to about 330 odd levels. The second sell call is on ICICI Bank. Stock recently saw a sharp run up in prices post their results. However, it fell short of 78.6% Fibonacci retracement level, which is a significant resistance on the charts, and stock has seen downside slide again. So this is forming a more of a bearish flag pattern. Stock is on the verge of a breakdown from the flag pattern. This is close to about 285 to about 286 zone. So one can go short on ICICI Bank for targets of 265. You are keeping stop loss at 300 levels. So two shots and one buy call.
All right, there you have it. Two sell calls, one on ICICI Bank, one on JSW Steel, and a buy call on Kotak Mahindra Bank. Gaurang, what would be some of your stock ideas for our viewers, given the kind of volatility and uncertainty that lies ahead? Which are some stocks that you think could be agnostic to that and could actually give potentially good returns?
So, Karunya, on a lighter note, tomorrow, I don't think it is going to be a floor test. It is going to be an acid test for Yediyurappa to prove his majority. That's on a lighter note. But, it's only prudent that you should wait out for uncertainties to clear up when you have, higher level of uncertainty, like we have the event lined up tomorrow. But yeah, nevertheless, I think two themes impress us to a great extent. One is, of course, the consumption FMCG space, wherein we've seen the numbers come much better than what the street expected, despite the higher level of competition from Patanjali. So we have identified Dabur as an investment idea, and the surprising thing was that after the bloodbath in the mid caps, FMCG mid caps have been able to withhold their levels and face the sell-off. And Dabur happened to be traded even in the green today. The last time that I saw, I stand to be corrected if I'm not. So long term means 1.5 to 2 years, we are maintaining a target of 465 on Dabur. And on fallback of new product launches and focus especially on the herbal and Ayurveda side and opening up more retail outlets, our sense is that Dabur should be definitely on your radar and possibly in your portfolio as well. The second one is from the cap goods engineering space, which saw good traction on third quarter earning and equally positive traction on the fourth earning. That stock is KC International. Here again, we are working with the target of long-term 1.5 to 2 year, 445.
Okay, Gaurang's wealth creation ideas are Dabur as well as KC International. Just to reiterate for our viewers, Aditya had a buy on Karnataka Bank and a sell on JSW Steel as well as ICICI Bank. On that note, thank you, gentlemen, for joining us, helping our viewers out with their queries, and of course, giving us your own recommendations and as well as your market perspective. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in. We'll wrap it up on this edition of Buy Now Sell Now Weekend. We'll see you same time next week. Until then, have a good weekend.